Well,
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. President Trump says he's terminating all Biden-era U.S. attorneys at the Justice Department. Here was his post about it. He says we need to clean house immediately and restore confidence. Well, can he do that? What does that mean? This comes as a Justice Department lawyer resigned after she was asked to investigate the Biden administration's scheme to funnel EPA money into hidden non-governmental organizations. We brought you that story last week. Lee Zeldin, the new head of the EPA, said that after he was confirmed, he directed his staff to find hidden money that was shoveled out the door before Biden administration ended, and he found it. He asked the DOJ to look into it. Was this legal? Were these contracts legal? Was this extortion or something like that? And within 1 week, less than 7 days, one of the top prosecutors resigned, saying, this is nothing. I don't want to even impanel a grand jury. I'm not going to do it. I will resign. So it's no wonder then that the Trump administration would say, we need people who are willing to do their jobs. Well, Lionel is going to join us from the Lionel Nation YouTube channel. He's a prosecutor. Thank you so much for joining us, Lionel. So is this legal? Can Trump do this? Is it usury?
Well, it's not usury. By the way, technically, I was a prosecutor. I am not now, but I'm a licensed trial lawyer. And it's not usury in terms of something being usurious like a loan. But let me explain to you what this is. First and foremost, this is exactly what the president can do. Normally, it is understood that all U.S. attorneys, there's about 93 of them roughly in the United States. These are the U.S. attorneys, the United States attorney for the Southern District of New York, for the Eastern District of New York, from wherever. There's about 93 of them. It is absolutely understood. They normally tender their resignations, and the president decides whom to keep. Number one, this is nothing. Number two, it's his show. This is the separation of powers. Now, since I'm not sure if you covered this, but Judge Dale Ho in New York dealt with this case involving Mayor Eric Adams. Eric Adams had his case ordered to be dismissed by virtue of Emil Bove, who was the assistant, now the attorney general. A highly regarded interim U.S. attorney in New York said, I'm not going to do this. This is a great case. After all, they indicted the mayor of New York for upgrading his airline travel and hotel. Anyway, so she says,
going into the first class lounge. They let him go in the lounge, even though he offered to pay for the ticket.
That's real corruption. It starts. That's where it starts. Upgrades. Next thing you know, heroin. Anyway, so what happens is she made this she's very highly respected, said, you're not going to tell me I'm leaving. And they say, well, look at her. She was in the Federalist Society. Let me explain to you. These U.S. attorneys have this idea that we're not some DA in Flagstaff or some Brooklyn DA. We're the United States attorneys. And of that group, the Southern District of New York is the Beverly Hills or whatever it is. This is the creme de la creme. And they oftentimes get into it with Main Justice. That's the code word for D.C. So anyway, make a long story short, President Trump said, I don't care what you say, you're going to do this, and if you don't like it, there's the door. They're making it sound like the president is this ham-fisted lunacy where he's forcing people to take cases. Now, in today's matter, there was this Rule 48A motion before this Judge Ho, and he said, look, I'm not going to get in the middle of this. If you want to dismiss a case, you have to run it by me to make sure. And friends, this is what's critical. The judge and the courts are to determine whether the defendant under the Constitution is protected, not we the people. The U.S. attorney brings cases on behalf of the president But the Constitution protects defendants. And the only way they want to make sure is, let's say if you or Clayton decide they get you in a crack, and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dismiss this, but we're going to dismiss it without prejudice, meaning we can bring it back anytime we want. They run it by a judge. In this particular case, Judge Hull wanted this 48A rule where the judge has to approve it to make sure that you're not being browbeaten, to make sure that the defendant, in this case, Eric Adams, is protected, not the people, not the citizens. It doesn't work like that. And by the way, if you
or the lawyers bringing it, it seems that's who they're really protected, is the prosecution. So do we want to live somewhere where the prosecutors have preferential treatment and not the defendants? That's Kafka-esque.
If these prosecutors don't think that they fulfill political ideologies, listen, my friends, let me remind you, where were these prosecutors when President Trump was the victim of more lawfare than you can imagine? Where were these prosecutors who resigned when average citizens on January 6th, who just found themselves kettlebelled, or whatever you want to call it, in this dragnet, thrown into the bowels and the dungeons of some D.C. gulag? Where were they then? How about when President Trump was charged with case after case after case, lawfare on steroids? Where were they then? Where were these people when he was charged with basically filing an NDA? Where were they when he was hit with basically a civil case in New York that sought to wipe him out financially? Where were these sensitive protectors of the Constitution then? Nobody quit. Nobody said anything. I don't even know if there are people still in prison or in jail now in Washington because of January 6th. Do you?
No.
Where's anybody? No. But this, Eric Adams or some EPA, you've got to be kidding. And one last thing. These people were on their way out anyway. These people are going to go to the white shoe law firms. They're going to make a fortune. And there's no better way than to leave. I left, daring to say to Trump, you're not going to push me around. Oh, we don't love you. Add a couple $100K to my salary. Oh,
right.
Immediately your partner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to hire you. Oh, you were anti-Trump. You fought the Trump regime. Glad you got out of there. But Lionel, I got to tell you what's really upsetting, or what I'm nervous about, is not these sort of figureheads, these U.S. attorneys at the top of the heap. It's the clerks. It's the underbelly at the DOJ. It's these people who maybe have burrowed in. We did a report a couple of months ago about the people, the deep state. So maybe the figureheads, these U.S. attorneys that you're talking about, the top of the heap. But what about the staffers? What about those people? Are you concerned at all about them?
Not as much, because believe it or not, there's one thing that they love more than getting Trump is their job. A staffer has less of a chance to go to Sullivan and Cromwell and get that corner office in the C-suite or whatever. Yeah, that's a part of it. Pamela Jo Bondi, by the way, whom I know from my days at the state attorney's office in Florida. She's a fellow Floridian from Tampa, my hometown. Known her for years. She is absolutely no nonsense. They will get immediately the tone and the tenor of how this is going to be. But let me explain to you, but the most important part, I can't figure this thing out. Maybe you're like me every day. Did you ever ask yourselves, what are we going to talk about? I don't know, Natalie. What are we going to? It's kind of slow today. Slow every 5 minutes. It's like I'm drinking from a fire hose. There's another story. How about Judge Chutkan in D.C. siding with Trump, who basically says this is his executive office. He can do whatever he wants. And let me remind you, today's the 80th anniversary of Iwo Jima. Do you know how many kids, 15 and 16-year-old, died there? Do you know how during World War II, during Enigma, we had housewives and people breaking the code along with Alan Turing? Elon Musk has people who may look a little weird. They may be 19 years old, but they've been deputized as we have deputized citizens throughout history. This is a new world, and the radical left don't know what to do. They're freaking out. They have
they're protesting.
idea.
They've taken over New York City in protest. Could you imagine?
With dances, they're dancing at the Kennedy Center,
honey,
like interpretively.
Like Lionel, we're going to go protest today in middle of Manhattan. And Lionel would say to me, Clayton, what are we going to protest today? Are we going to stand up for human rights? Are we going to end the war in Ukraine? No,
Stop
Lionel,
human
we're
trafficking.
going to protest today is Trump going after waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. I'm not putting on my coat. What?
The bravery.
By the way, it's 31 right now, and it's warmed up. And this is the most important thing. These are the same people, Clayton, who years ago turned, 87,000 IRS agents to go after you, to look under you to make sure you haven't dotted the wrong I or crossed the wrong T, to audit you, and they applauded it. When we want to go after and audit the auditors, oh, no, you don't. Oh, wait a minute. How do they do this? How do they look at I hate to bring this, look at the SNL 50th with Tom Hanks, I know this is not legally related, doing a joke about MAGA racism. What year are you in? What time? What inertial bubble? America, they don't get it. They're like the Japanese soldier who doesn't know the war's over. They're arguing 2016 or something. Did they see the results? I don't understand it.
I have a question, though. So this EPA case that we talked about with Lee Zedlin saying, I found all this money. I think it might be illegal. I'd like the DOJ to look into it. And this DOJ prosecutor is like, not doing that. Cannot look into money corruption. Is it possible that she also said, some of my colleagues also said there's no case here, but I've been told to make a case here. Is it possible she could have summed up the merits of this case in less than 5 working days?
No. Of course not. Now, they're making this out like to be the Saturday Night Massacre, that this is Archibald Cox. I mean, no. The thing is that here's what you do. This is the most important. If it's, let's say it's President, Natalie, and I say, oh, yes, Madam President, I'll do this. Okay. And I sit on it. I don't announce to the world, no, do this. Oh, I'm going to look at it very thoroughly. We've done it, and we issue a no true bill. Remember, the prosecutor, if I wanted to kill a case, the great Saul Walker said a great prosecutor could indict a ham sandwich if he wanted to. If I want to indict somebody or not indict somebody, let's say it's a cop and I like this person, I just put on crappy evidence and the grand jury says, we're not going to indict. Okay, I throw the case. These people want to grandstand for their Democratic, liberal, far-left darlings. Oh, you were yes, hi, how are you? I'm Danielle Sassoon. Oh, you were the one who resigned at the come on in. And who are you? Well, I was the one who denied Lee Zeldin the grand jury. Oh, come on in. This is like this, the Hall of Fame. They're trying to virtue signal by not doing their job. And think about this, what you said, not go after corruption. I don't get it. You're actually telling people, instead of pretending, look, here's the best thing. If you're going to throw the case, pretend you're not throwing the case. Don't.
Right. And so now if we get a good prosecutor who actually shows us a valid indictment, we will see what she refused to look at, and it will be out there for the rest of us to say, yeah, this was corruption with taxpayer dollars.
Put it this way. Whenever they find this person guilty, perhaps, and they're entitled to their day, I can see this. Hi, remember this one? Yeah. This is the one that they didn't want to take to the grand jury. The guy who just got 75 years? Yeah. This is the guy that prosecutor. So remember this, because now, if you're that defendant, they just put a red dot on him and say, oh, thanks, terrific. Now they're going to get me. Now they're going to make an example out of me. So, but again, it's the defendant we're thinking about. But this is, all I know is that the president cannot lose. Every time he does something, he wins bigger, and more people are siding with him. He has not lost anything. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah,
You have an I told you so from last week. You said this. So every time that he's challenged, he's going to win and we'll just grow stronger. So another I told you so from Lionel. Follow the Lionel Nation YouTube channel for more of this great analysis, or follow him on X. Thanks again, Lionel. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for breaking this down.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lionel.